Hello again, 164 scale collectors. We have this brand Liberty 64. That's a new one for me. If you're new to collecting these things, there's a lot of fly-by-night operations with no licensing. As you can see here, there's nothing saying Daimler or Mercedes, or I'm not sure what company they go by officially. So it is wrapped in plastic. I ordered this online. Let's take a look. This box seems very elaborate, meaning expensive. Maybe I had to pay for this fancy box when I just want the model. It does have a nice line drawing here, and then it does tell you what it is. So it's a Mercedes Benz 500K chassis W29. I'm just so used to saying 3 digits. Wikipedia is telling me this thing was made between 1934 to 1936. It's rear-wheel drive, a 5-liter inline 8-cylinder, making around 160 horsepower, which would get to 160 kilometers per hour in speed. It would have a 4 or 5-speed manual transmission, independent suspension. There are 3 different chassis and 4 body styles, and 342 of them were made. So that's from Wikipedia. I could be wrong. K for compressor, so it's supercharged. Okay, it's nice that this story is here. You know, you learn a little about the vehicle, right? I don't know why more brand packaging doesn't give you the basic stats of a car or some sort of background story. It's just free area that's wasted, right? You got this whole gold foil stamping, so definitely a very nice box. Even a magnet in here. It's just, you know, for me it's just unnecessary. I'd be perfectly happy with just the standard sleeve. That text could have been on the bottom of the box maybe, or the back of it. So now we have a plastic bag protecting this from the cardboard, which would be abrasive, by the way, so I can understand the logic for that. There seems to be a roof just kind of jammed in there, but I guess it can't move around because it's jammed in there, so I guess that's safe for shipping. Now we have your standard top case thing. There's the roof thing. I'll just get that out of here right now so it'll be easily available during the review. Seems to be made of plastic. It's painted on all surfaces, so that seems alright. So now we have a fancy wooden base, and I should pull up some proper photos. Bearing in mind it's hard to focus on 2 objects at 2 different distances, but I think that's as good as I can get the comparison. And it's interesting, it even has these like lights on the windscreen sides, like searchlights or something. Alright, the side view. Yeah, look at the pontoon fender. That matches up pretty well. The hood line matches. The pretty low windscreen matches up. I do feel like maybe this trunk is a different trunk. Like, this is a very drastic curve. Look how swept back this is. But if you look at this next photo, which is actually in a more correct color, this is clearly more like a long tail design, right? So granted, this circle you see here is probably why that tire is there. So as I mentioned, there's different body styles. This car must have been extremely expensive for its day, and even today. So I think it's probably correct. Well, it's good. I don't know of a better brand making this car in 164 anyways, so there's really no choice. If you like this car in real life, this is as good as it's going to get. This is a real piece of wood. You can literally see the grain in it. It's not some sort of plastic painted as wood. It literally is wood. So it's yeah, the staining didn't get everywhere. Imperfections, that's to be expected of a wood thing. Then we have this really fancy etched plate with the vehicle there, the 500K Mercedes Benz, and I suppose that's the brand logo up top, Liberty 64. It's kind of small, but it is there. Alright, so a wire wheel in 164 is really hard to pull off. This is a pretty good attempt, though. It's got, first, the center ring, right? It's got the stars, 3-dimensional. It's got the same maroon paint as the body, which is nice. Then we have a bent conical photo etch piece representing the bent spokes of a real wheel. So this one's maybe not bent enough, but there, you can do that. Oh no, it's got memory. And then maybe the rim itself is milled aluminum because it's very shiny. It's so thin and so round. That's what makes me think it's made of metal and not plastic. Now, if I look really deep in there, I think there's a second layer of spokes. See? Like right there, in between the conical ones. So there's two photo etched, pieces representing the double set of spokes. So that's pretty impressive. I like it. And then I think there's maybe just blackness behind there. There's a little bit of a knockoff here. So this maroon thing, I guess, is some sort of axle knockoff. That's very good. This white wall is very round. It's concentrically printed, which is nice. A little gappy here. And the sidewalls, they're a little bit, well, they are kind of, I don't know if they're flat. Wait a sec. I think I do see a curvature there. Yeah, so it is kind of like a rounded balloon. So I suppose that's good. It's not good to have slab-sided tires on a car this old. Yeah, there, I think you can see the curvature, so I think that's well done. And more importantly is the tread blocks here. They don't look like truck tires to me. They look like regular road-going tires. But there still is a tread, as you can see. Maybe I should get a flashlight. Yeah, see? So it can be done. I don't know why so many brands have a hard time making realistic tires. I think Kyosho might have been the best brand as far as making realistic tires. Alright, moving on here. There's an exhaust pipe on the bottom there. It does perhaps look like a ladder frame. It's hard to say. There's one screw holding this down, but there's a locator pin to keep it from spinning. And then there's a recessed area as well down in that wood base. So I guess 2 points of interaction is good for shipping, so it doesn't just break off the base or spin and hit the side of the box. What's going on the side of this thing? I feel like there's silver paint here, but possibly black under it. Is this this is physical, never mind. This is a physical overhang. So that's just shadow perhaps? But now they have this silver paint printed on, which is really nice. Compared to the first photograph, it's very thick. It wants to just be one thin line going up and around here. But again, with 4 different body styles or whatever Wikipedia said, maybe there was a real Mercedes like this. There's also some printing here to represent perhaps chrome strips for, step boards. Keep it from your feet from scratching up the paint. Look at this, is really nice. These, one would assume they're exhaust pipes, but they're like corrugated. They almost remind me of that ducting, air ducts for kitchens, commercial kitchens and stuff like that. I think these might actually be like metal springs. I feel like there's light getting in there. So that's an interesting way to do it. It still looks like a pipe, but yeah, very cool. It's really hard to focus on such shiny areas. Now these grill sides are really nice. I almost feel like these are photo etched pieces. This thing I am touching right now is like smooth and shiny, but then the venting is kind of matte finish, so I think that's the etched away part. So this is very cool. I'm pretty sure that this is a diecast, just based off the price, but it seems to have a lot of parts you would find on a resin model. And then looking at this paint is quite nice as well. It's like, almost looks like a translucent red shot over the metal body. Right? This, as you move around, you can see the light changing in the depth of that clear coat, this red clear coat. Alright, there's some silver paint as well, here and then going on the side. I don't know what this little bar is, but I see it on the real photograph. And then this is the door handle, so this thing has suicide doors. These must be the hinges. And then, this fancy little chrome thing gets wider back here. And then the rear tire looks just as nice as the front. The wheel looks nice. Oh, wait. Oh, for a second I thought that was black. But no, you can see it catching that light now, and it is maroon. Yeah, more silver paint here. This must be the fuel filler, an indication of a lock or some sort of tab. Yeah, I see that on the rear photograph as well. And then what is this? It's some sort of footstep. Yep, that's not a taillight, it's a footstep, I assume, to access this spare wheel. I guess we're going to go around to the back. Then we have separate plastic chromed bumpers. Look at the interesting spring steel they're copying here. Now these tubes, I think these are metal tubes because look how thin they are. They actually have depth in the middle of them, and yet they're perfectly round. You can't do that with a plastic tube. You can't mold it that thin reliably. So those are probably metal, and they're cut and just put on top of some sort of plastic. Maybe that plastic is the black inside, like a peg. It's nice that there's something in the license plate area. So it says 500K, that makes sense. What the heck are these? Maybe these are the taillights. They're not on that image I pulled up in the rear. Oh, maybe they are. They're just kind of hard to see. Anyways, there's a little red in the middle, so I am under the belief those are taillights. And are they metal tubes? I don't know. Again, they're very round, but they are thick enough they could be plastic. That's a really interesting and cool bumper. I like it. Alright, so moving around to this side. Oh, okay, we got a bunch of silver dots. These are probably to hold the tonneau of the convertible part down. This wheel and tire looks nice. You see the top of the tire sunken underneath the fender, which is nice to see. It's not actually on the side photo, but that side photo is a different body style. Okay, so this all looks good. Yeah, a little bit of the front looks like it's under the fender as well, and that I see on the side photo. So the wheels and tires are perfect on all four. I'm glad for that. So moving around here, again we have a nice chromed plastic bumper. This time it seems to be one bumper, and no indication of how it's actually a real bumper. I guess maybe in the 30s they weren't real bumpers. So anyways, it seems to be mounted to the bottom of these fenders. And there's some silver paint in the middle and here on the side. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't see it on the front photo, but again, it's probably a different body style. It's really hard to get paint in there, unless this bottom piece is probably completely separate from the middle. In fact, I think this is a removable engine cover. We'll get to that later. Okay, what is this? This is a conical recess to indicate the light bucket, but clearly there's no resin above it or clear insert. This clearly does have clear inserts, and the Fresneling is on the back side. It does look like an old light bulb. I don't even know what kind of light bulbs they would have used back then. Were they light bulbs, or was this thing literally burning an oil candle or something? Probably a light bulb, but I don't know. This one's a little crooked, though. This one seems more horizontal. Honestly, they both feel a little crooked. Alright. This also is a conical. Wait, maybe there's something here. I feel like I'm touching a surface, but it's not in the bottom of that. So this one does have an insert. Strange. You'd think they would just design this the same size and have 3 of these here, but maybe... Oh, you know what? These might be horns. Looking at the back, right? Oh, okay, I get it now. I think these are horns, and that is a light. So that makes sense, perfect sense. Okay, the grill again, just like the side ones. I feel like there's a piece of metal, if not 2. So the actual egg crate is all smooth and shiny. That could be one etching, or it's one etching and this is etched away, because this is matte finish, and they even etched all the way through, I think, these little holes. The holes are so small, but I wouldn't doubt that those are actually passing air, but you're not going to see anything behind a hole that tiny. Alright, so you can see the Mercedes star is in the upright position. That makes sense. Okay, no pipes on this side, as you can see. It's just 3 etched away grill vent things. some sort of latch molded detail there. And then, alright, let's just do the engine now because I'll forget. I don't really care for opening parts. You know, I just want the thing to look nice in its normal position, being a closed engine. Something about this is very tight though. And I'm also a little bit worried. What's going to happen here if I pull this off? Is it going to pull this spring out of this hole? This spring, does it actually cross through to the bottom? No, it doesn't. So I don't know what's going on, but clearly you can see there's a physical break. Right? This darkness, that's a physical break. You don't see that back here where it's, you know, not separate. That's just too gappy to not be a separate piece. Maybe this doesn't open. No, I don't know. I don't know. It's just awfully. I'm putting a lot of force on there. So leave a comment if anyone, you know, knows or has seen this. Does that thing open? Well, I took a look online. I see no promotional images of the exposed engine. So I guess this is just the only way they can make this body, but to have that as a separate piece. I don't know. Well, I suppose. I guess you can't have an undercut, so. But then again, I see. Never mind. A side mold can't go in behind this pontoon fender, so that's why it has to be separate. Alright, well, fine by me. Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's acceptable, I guess. Okay, the windscreen though. So that is molded plastic, and you can see the raised frame is painted silver nicely. It's got some flat photo etched wiper blades. They're not bent perpendicular, but this is not a resin model. So then these do have some plastic inserted covers, and it looks like there's a light bulb in that bucket, so that's good. And then I guess we're getting into the interior. So the steering wheel, yeah, that's pretty nice, passing air. There's actually a photo etched piece here in the middle. Alright, that's cool. And then you can see this red Mercedes star. That's cool as well. Then you can see the actual instruments. Let me get some light in there. Right. One lumen. I guess that's the proper amount. Yeah, that's a nice dashboard. There actually might be a photo etch piece going around the perimeter of that dashboard because I can see like a height variation. Or maybe that's just raised molded plastic and they painted it silver. Hard to say. There's a stick shift obviously with this like ivory colored ball on it, and there's also a stick next to it. I don't know what that would be for. Leave a comment if you know. And then I lost focus, hold on. The floorboards, well, yeah, there's definitely pedals. Yeah, painted black there. They seem awfully close to the seat, but it is a 64 scale model. You gotta make changes to make everything fit. So the door panel is pretty good, right? You got the window thing and the I assume a door handle, some sort of silver accent on the top. The armrest is pretty lame, but I kind of wish it was sticking out more, but maybe the real one was like that, although I don't see any reason why. Then the seats, yeah, I got this ribbing. It's like just a bench seat. It looks like it'd be soft rubber, but it's hard plastic. Painted nicely, okay. So now, yeah, we got the rest of those buttons or whatever to hold the tonneau here, and then these chrome strips are painted silver. This one's got a little bit of a bump. Panel gap is pretty good, and then the whole separate another tire. And I don't know why I didn't just look at this tire the first time, but yeah, you can see the curvature of it. It's pretty good. I do think again that's a metal ring, but I might be mistaken. But those are definitely photo etched spokes. And then you got this little clamp or something holding that tire on, and the tread looks okay, right? So that's all in all. There's a lot of detail going on this thing. It's quite impressive actually. It's definitely a kind of an expensive model for diecast, but I think it's well justified. It could have been so much cheaper though if it just had a regular base instead of an elaborate wood one and all that crazy packaging and stuff. Alright, I'm not sure why anyone would want to pose it this way, but maybe it rains in your little 1/64 scale world. So design wise, not the greatest because it doesn't have any locking mechanism. There's no tabs going into things. So if you really want this to stay, you're going to have to get a little poster putty and put a tiny bit, to keep it held on. But it does actually fit decently. Right? There's no air gaps and stuff. And looking at the interaction with the windscreen, it's actually a well molded piece. It's just that, that. But I'm not bothered by it because I'm just going to put this back in the bag. Alright, some comparison here. There's a GFCC 300 SL Roadster. This is diecast as well. It actually has opening panels if you want to look at the review. Frankly, I don't really need it, but I guess for a diecast with opening panels is actually pretty good. But what bothers me about this casting is the side shape. It's just straight across. It's supposed to actually go down a little bit. So I think that casting could have been better. But it's probably still the best 300 SL Roadster I'm aware of in diecast 64. This Mortal model is quite nice as well. This is diecast too. And I think maybe that engine cover came off as well. But so this was the top end vehicle of its day also, but it came along later. That's the W189. So here we have the last one. It's a resin. It's by MY64 of the 300 SL. And I mean, who can complain about that? That's a beautiful car. But well, let me show you these first, but I'm going to remove the side ones there because this is clearly not the most beautiful car made by a German car company. It's nice. I would love to have it in real life. This casting, unfortunately, is a failure. Again, how it just goes straight across like that. It's supposed to come down a little and up. But this comparison is what I was looking for. The reason why is I was under the belief the 300 SL is the nicest Mercedes of all time. I think I'm wrong. If you had a choice in real life to own this car or that car, which would you choose? Practicality wise, that car would be practical to drive. This thing is like a steamboat. Look how big it is. But that is a very elaborate looking vehicle. That exudes luxury to an extent that this does not. Right? This is simply too modern, even though it's from the 50s, I think. Yeah, it says 54. So the 30s, yeah, that's the highlight of its time. This car, I suppose, or maybe a Duesenberg or something like that. But I guess for a German manufacturer, that I would have to say this is probably the most elaborate vehicle of the 30s, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know automotive history. I just like collecting small miniatures. Okay, yeah, for me, the 500K I think is the most beautiful Mercedes and possibly the most beautiful German car. Yeah. Okay, anyways, I'm just coming up with this now. Leave a comment. It's always interesting to learn about other people's opinions, what they think the coolest cars are, most beautiful or the coolest or whatever. Model-wise, though, this is fantastic. It's there's no defects. There's a lot going on. Look at all the different paint applications and all the different parts. The amount of parts. Oh, I didn't even talk about the little turn signals. I didn't even notice those. These little chrome plastic, but they have white paint for the signals. I guess that's the best they could do. So this is a case again where the budget may have been better spent not on the wooden base, the metal plaque, in the elaborate cardboard boxes came in. It would have been better served to take that money and have plastic inserted turn signals. But that's the only thing really missing. It's got painted turn signals. Okay, but the wheels, pretty good. I'm not aware of a better maybe in the resin world, the resins might have better wire wheels. But in general, it's just hard to make wire wheels. Yeah, it's 64 times smaller than reality. Okay, anyways, I suggest this model if you like this car. It's very cool. There's at least 6 colors out there. I think I missed the first wave of colors because they're kind of plain. But this is a very nice, rich, deep, translucent, maroon, metallic kind of thing going on. Very nice. And we'll have to see in the future if they come out with some other cool colors. Maybe like a sky blue or something would be nice. But okay, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you the next time. Bye.